competing with Nigerian men in black. It's so incredible to see you. So first thing I'm going to ask you is to tell me a little bit about the different roles that you played in the making of this movie. Should we start with you?
Okay, I am the director of photography, editor, and VFX and sound lead for this film.
How old are you again?
I am 20.
You're 20 now. Okay, we'll go to this side.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Ronald Yusuf. Yeah, and I was the camera operator, second camera operator on the film Tomorrow's War. Ogun. Yes. Yeah, that's
Ogun Ola.
Yes.
And how old are you, Ronald?
Oh yeah, I'm 18.
You're 18.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Godwin Gaza Josiah. For the film you just watched, I was the writer and director, and also the co-VFX artist. So that was what I did for the film, basically, yes.
And how old are you?
I'm 21.
And you, sir?
Hi, everyone. My name is Richard Yusuf, and I was the continuity, which is mostly called the script supervisor for the film Tomorrow's War. Sorry, Ogunla.
What does that entail? What did you say?
The script supervisor.
Script supervisor.
Yeah.
What does that entail?
Yeah, so basically I make sure we shoot according to what we planned and according to what is in the script of the film. So just to make sure the film plays out how it's supposed to be. So yeah, that's what I do.
So, I want to ask about the inspiration. I would like to know a little bit about the story behind the story. And then I'm going to ask you what your interest is in science fiction. Because there's a lot of science fiction there, a lot of sci-fi, but also there's a traditional element. So of course we're listening to people speaking Yoruba, and then at the end they're talking Eshu, they're talking Ogun, and these are Yoruba deities. Yeah. So I'm trying to see what the connection is and how you arrived at that. Who wants to go first? Godwin?
Yeah, man. Okay, so to be honest, it's a very long story, but it started way back 2019, not so long after we were at Kabafest 2019. At first, to be honest, it was just a plain intention of wanting to create a superhero story, because as Africans or as young kids growing up here, we've had Spider-Man to look up to, we've had Iron Man to look up to. And so the thought of creating a superhero in a sense that is local, I don't know if that's the right term, but local, was the first intention. But subsequently, the opportunity came. I think we'll speak more on that, or let someone else speak on that. Subsequently, the opportunity came to create the story, and we know for a fact that this is a story that has not really been treaded upon. It has not really been told visually. We've heard a lot of stories, orally in a sense. So we wanted to do it right, and what we did was we had to travel down to Ekiti State, where this particular deities are still presently being worshipped. And we had lots of interactions with some of those worshippers, and just to get a sense of telling the story right. After we did that, we had to travel back down to Kaduna. By the way, everything was shot here in Kaduna. Every single thing was made here in Kaduna. So we traveled back down to Kaduna, and with the knowledge we have gained from traveling to Ekiti, we basically crafted a proper story, a true story, to be honest. Yeah, I think I'll stop here because, like I said, it's very long.
So adding to what he said, yeah, we traveled to Ekiti to get some info on like these deities that were portrayed in Ugonla. And note the incantations you heard were real ones. So, yeah, just adding to that.
Does anybody else want to add to that story? Okay, so who is, out of the four of you, who is it that comes up with the ideas? Who is it that really, who is the ideas person?
Well, that's why there's four of us here. The ideas all come from single ideas from each and every one of us, and we piece each and every one of these ideas to form a whole story. And basically, one point of this entire collective is we notice and we see that the world likes to pay attention to mostly singular forces. You know, there is no attention usually paid to, you know, band of people doing things together, because, you know, if you're in Nigeria, money, so many factors will come into, you know, collectives like this. So any film you see from us, just so that it's like five people's ideas all forming one main thing.
And I think I think that means that there's no infighting. Like we saw yesterday with Ogaba Ochai's people. Like, is there, do you ever argue?
Yeah, we argue a lot. We argue every day, to be very honest.
You argue? Who normally wins?
This guy is good at arguing, so
yeah,
he never stops, so we just keep quiet at some point.
The rest of you will just be watching him.
Yeah, just
you'll be turning on your own.
Luckily, we're all calm people, so.
Okay, the three of you are generally quite calm.
Yeah, you need to see Victor. Victor is the worst of us.
Oh.
He will just keep quiet.
Victor is writing exams presently. That's why he can't.
That's why he's
here.
not here, because I like troublesome people, so I would have liked to have met him on this panel. So, and I want to ask you something actually about this idea of working together as a collective and as a group. So when you're doing credits, for instance, and you're kind of trying to list, okay, what did everyone do? Is that an easy process? Or does one of you ever feel like, okay, but I did the right thing now, so why is Richard trying to take some of my credit? Does that ever happen? Or you resolve it in the process of creation?
It's funny that this is a conversation that we kind of like have, and we're still kind of like trying to figure out how to do it, because typically credits industry-wise do not credit collective, so you just have to share and say that, oh, this is who did this. But we think that breaking the norm sometimes is cool. So for some of our projects, you might just see directed by the critics, and will you beat us for putting the critics?
So you've told us that you shot the movie in Kaduna, but you went to Ekiti to do some research. So tell me how that works. You're here based in Kaduna. There are lots of Yoruba elements in this movie. Have you lived in Yoruba land before? Like properly lived there? Okay, so I'm just trying to understand like I said, the story behind the story.
So the film you just watched, Ogun, if you basically follow the story, of course there's a lot of spoken Yoruba language because it's the mom is Yoruba and he's basically brought up in that sense. But you subtly see the Igbo man, you subtly see the Hausa people. And what we're trying to show is basically a sense of where we grew up, Kaduna here. Personally, where I grew up, I had like an Igbo beer parlor owner by the side, and there's this Hausa woman who always sells food. And basically, there's peace, you know, there's cohesion. And that was basically what we're trying to show with this film. It's all linked back to the Yoruba because of particularly the deity we're concentrating on. And I'm so sorry that probably some of you were not able to read the subtitles. But basically, we understood for a fact that we had to make this traditional and not English in a sense. But the story, going to Ekiti, was really an awesome experience. At first it was scary because if you think about traditional worshippers, the sense of what you get in your head is, let's be frank, blood, rituals, that, yeah, death, because that's what, you know, the local media has painted that to be. But it's very interesting to also learn that Eshu, for instance, which we depicted in this film, is not considered an evil god in a sense, right?
Eshu is not Satan.
He's not Satan. He's not evil. He's as necessary as, you know, the other gods in your life. They pray to Eshu for money and stuff. And so all of those infos actually inspired the ideas. And also, like I said, where we grew up here, we put all of that together and we got the whole story for Ogun War is Coming.
That's incredible. And I should actually tell you that there's a book that was published last year. It's the who is who of Yoruba deities. And I think it's in the bookstore. It might be of interest to you to get some of the background stories of some of these deities themselves. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some of the themes that you explored. I mean, a very strong and prominent one would be the theme of family. And this is a family that's experienced loss. The father has passed away. The mother is raising this child as a single mom. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? Why you decided to shape this family in that way?
I first want to talk about the fact that part of the reasons, an explanation to why this character is in Kaduna is because she was sent away from, you know, our royal family in the West, and she had to come live far away from there.
In hiding.
Yes, and the best place she could call home was Kaduna, right? And for every one of us, our mothers and aunts and sisters have been very influential in our lives. So it's subtly unaware. We are unaware of it, but we kind of like just tend to have characters of how mothers care for their children and how they will go to numerous lengths to make sure that they do so much for their kid. Like in the opening scenes, you see her carrying clothes. She's working multiple jobs. She's serving as a laundry cleaner, working in a child's school so that he can afford
a private school.
A private school. The kids who were taunting him are actually government school children, so they are jealous of him, and you know, such little enmity begins to like kind of like sprite up. And you know, also there are rumors in the neighborhood, which is why the other kids would pick on this young man, you know. And also there's a prejudice in society towards single mothers, right? And you hear all sorts of things, all sorts of stories. We kind of like just wanted to talk about these elements, and these people should not be hated on, you know. We should be able to sympathize with them, empathize with them as human beings. So yeah.
And I think you did a great job of that, because we're presented with a character who is quite vulnerable. He's living with with his mom, but he's doing something very special for her.
Yeah.
He's saving up money, taking it to Mazi, I think every week, to raise money to buy his mom a washing machine. Yes?
Yeah.
And then, so you set him up really well. We are all there with him going, yes, we're rooting for him.
Exactly.
We want him to buy this washing machine, you know, and then it just disappears before his very eyes, and things kind of go downhill from there. And that's when he properly discovers his powers, because we had seen glimpses of those powers. When he was sitting in the classroom, there was a slight kind of something happened, and then again when he was being bullied, and then it was the final scenes that we saw the powers kind of really come out, and this boy's personality to come into its own. Was that your intention?
Yes, definitely. It's painful for the character that his mom never really understood, and the character was quite misunderstood. You know, he did not go late to school because he wanted to go late intentionally. He was trying to meet up with saving money and getting to school at the same time. But we don't know if his mom will ever know that this is what our child was doing for her.
He was planning it as a surprise,
Exactly, no? Yes. And what we might not know is Ogun is the god of war for the Yoruba deity, and the god of war has anger, and basically wash is going to cause wahala. So this young man doesn't even know that he has these elements in him, and the only time we get to see a full extent of his power is when he's angry because his mom has passed away. And we are now left wondering, right, are we going to see the innocence of this young man bloom, or would this thing that he's unaware of take the better part of him? So
that's right. So we're worried about Ogun. Well, issue more this sort of dual personality, where there seems to be this positive side and then this very kind of frightening side. Yeah. You're aware of that. Yes. And how did you bring that element into that scene? Okay, so of the duality of the gods?
Okay, yeah. So during our research, right, we looked up like traits that Ogun himself, or Ogun the god, exhibited when he was in power, from stories that have been told by our grandparents and stuff like that. So we looked at it critically and we thought, okay, how can we infuse this into like the everyday life of a 17-year-old student? So that was basically the inspiration that took us into bringing that specific traits into like the characteristics of like this specific character, which is Ogun. So yeah.
Also touching on that, according to the research we made, Eshu and Ogun were close friends. And that's why we have Eshu in this film and not any other god. And initially, we did not want to use a popular god like Shango, because everybody knows who Shango is. You know, a lot of people don't even know who Eshu is, Ogun is, Oya, or Yemoja. And basically, the story continues forward, right? More than what we have seen. And I'm just going to use this moment to touch on how this short film is a proof of concept for a bigger, full-length film. And
so we have more to look forward to.
Yeah, and a name drop is talking on how we made the film. The film was executively produced by Mr. Morgan Freeman's company. Yeah, so.
Did you hear that? Morgan Freeman's company. I have to ask now, how has it been gallivanting with Hollywood people?
We haven't started the gallivanting yet. But, so this film is, the hope is that by the 29th of this month, there's going to be a social media release for this film. And in a sense, it's going to basically go far and wide, and we are going to be able to get opportunities from producers also far and wide. So this film can be bigger, because this universe is not something we can tell in our generations. It's something we hope people will continue after we are gone, in a sense. But it has been really beautiful so far, to be very honest. Morgan Freeman is an awesome man, to be honest. Maybe you guys probably saw his little cameo appearance on the TV screen. He went...
It's like the president or something. Yeah.
He went as far as recording a voiceover for our trailer. That is going to be dropping really, really soon. And those who know Morgan Freeman know he's probably one of the most famous voices in the world. And we got that for free. So that has been... This whole ride has been very beautiful. And personally, I don't know, I can't wait to see what the future holds for us.
That's wonderful, wonderful. There is one thing I wanted to mention. You touched on it very briefly when you were talking about people being misunderstood. And it's this idea of the way people are perceived. So this family that's just trying to survive in this community, yet you have people accusing the mother of killing her husband. I love the fact that you put that in there, but can you tell us a little bit more about, what led to that and why it was so important for you to inject that little piece of drama into the film?
Okay, I'm not going to say really, really deeply on that part because this is the proof of concept for a bigger story. Yeah, so have that in mind. First off, remember, like Raymond said, the mom had to run away, so nobody really knows anything about her. So everybody's going to assume, and speculations, assumptions, the entire society. And then it's just easier to conclude when it starts from somebody and then two people say it, and you're like, if you hear it from three people, it's probably the truth. So it is the stigma that single mothers face. Do you understand? So nobody knows anything about her, but then single mothers go through these things. So it's just easier to just come up with a story and just wrap it around that mother that is just trying to walk our daily lives, and then it's just sad, really. It's really sad. Yeah.
It's very unfortunate, and I have wondered. Do you think if it was a single dad, would the father have gone through that? Do people spread such horrible rumors about men?
That's a problem. If it was a single dad, people would probably just talk bad about the mother.
They will still.
Yeah.
This is the burden we women bear. But it is true. It is absolutely true, and I'm exceedingly proud of you. I'm just here.
Thank you.
In 2019, Chiebuka Obumselu was in this seat having a chat with you, and I'm here today feeling so honored, because you've grown up to be such impressive men. And I am super proud, and Kaduna State is super proud of you too. Because we're going to keep asking you to come back. When you've won the Oscar, will you still come to Kabafest?
Yeah, we will. We definitely
You'll still
will.
come back to Kabafest. You won't tell us that you are too big for us, and that we have to spread red carpets from the gates. So I'm going to throw this open to the audience so that you can ask questions. Uchenna Emelife is there.
Thank you so much. Hello everyone, my name is Uchenna Emelife. Mine isn't a question really. I just want to express how amazed and I consider this very beautiful this work is. I like for the fact that when I read the snippets of what the film would be like, I was really scared because I many times when African fantasy is being displayed in films, we tend to see it as being portrayed as evil. So I was worried that, would I be seeing an African story where the god is evil? But when I saw this and I realized, I heard you say that it was deliberate, that it was intentional, I find it very, very beautiful. I also like the fact that you were original in the language. When you were apologizing for using Yoruba, I'm not Yoruba. I found it very beautiful that there was a conversation all through in Yoruba, because that is what they would actually converse in, not necessarily in English. And I feel like you should not be apologetic about it. You don't have to say sorry about using Yoruba. So,
thank you so much.
Finally, I have a suggestion to make. Please consider making adaptations. We have beautiful novels that pay tribute to African mythologies. I don't like to call them mythologies. African supernaturals. Yes. You could consider making adaptations. I can give you a list of books you could check out, read, and see if you could make adaptations out of it. And well done, well done.
Thank you so much. Can we come over here?
Good afternoon. I am Najibullah Nakaka. Wonderful. Your film is wonderful, impressive. What I like about it is how you bring culture in and peaceful coexistence. We see Yoruba, Hausa, Fulani all in one place. And the other thing is how you portray that the use of Yoruba. No, it's not. You don't have to apologize for that. Do you get it? It is like you are portraying our own culture, so you be proud of it. I want, like, next time you use Hausa, Igbo, we'll be proud of that. Do you get it? So my suggestion here is, thank God we have Her Excellency here, ma'am. These young men that we have here seated on the panel, I think they will definitely need a support from the state government. They are all Kaduna State citizens. We just can't let... You know, in Africa, we actually ignore talent and go for other things like certificate. These young men here are talented. Please, the government should not ignore them. The government should help them and make them, like, let them make Kaduna State proud and prouder. Thank you.
They are already making Kaduna State proud. All right, I want to take a question from a woman. I've had two guys. There's one. Oh, yes, we're coming.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to say that, of course, we're very proud of you. I remember the first time I saw you guys, you were really very young, and you've come a long way. You said the government will support. I'm sure the government will support as much as possible, but what more support do they need when they have Morgan Freeman? Sky is the limit, right? So, unfortunately, we just came at the tail end of the film. I believe we've really missed something wonderful, because as we were coming in, the film was going to an end and everybody was like, so I know that people enjoyed the film. So my question really is not about the film, which I have not seen. The question I'd like to ask you is, how did you come about the name of your company, the Critics Company? Because when you hear the Critics Company, you think like it's a company that does critique of other people's works, and yet you are a company that do your own work. So how did you get to name your company the Critics Company? Thank you.
I've had that question like a million times. So, but we are the critics because initially we were criticizing until we decided to make what we were criticizing. And yeah.
That's right.
So that's the most simplest explanation for the name.
When you're saying it's not good, then somebody say, go and do your own. So I think that's how that name came about.
Hello, good afternoon. Okay, so you guys are pretty young, pretty young for the amazing work you're doing. I just want to know, okay, can you hear me? Yeah. I just want to know, how do you guys fund? Like, where do you get your funding from? Because all of that SFX needs some serious bucks, so I want to know where it's coming from.
God Almighty. Okay. To be very honest, as a collective, we've made a lot of films that are zero budget. So just out of love, we wake up in the morning and just go shoot a film. But for projects like this, which is very special, of course, a conversation was held and a budget was presented to us to make, which is one of the reasons why it has, the quality that it has presently. But to be very honest, also, we spent way past budget for this film. We spent all our money. We were hungry making this film. And then we decided to find a way to make money to finish up the film. So basically, I think it's God. It's God. Back to my last.
Well, that was a bit disappointing for me, because the last time you were on the Kabafest stage, we all donated. And I can't believe that money we gave you that day was not enough to make this movie. Since 2019.
Can I add something?
You didn't save that money.
Can I add something? It's what a lot of people might not know is that our skills are actually our money. We made a video on our channel where we're kind of like critically, analyzing a film we made with like, I think less than 100,000 naira. and we estimated that that project could cost 6 million naira if we needed proper funding. So when you have like one person doing the editing, the sound, and you don't really have to outsource, you are kind of like breaking down the cost for certain projects. So that's what happens. That's like technical stuff about what happens with our projects. Yeah. And that's why a lot of people will not dabble into projects like this, because typically they are expensive, and the industry, it could cost nothing less than 50 million naira to make a film like this. So, yeah.
Incredible. Incredible.